Hey everybody, welcome to Arch's Garage, and in this episode we're going to be dealing with, well, the dreaded belt squeal. Now look, I've searched the web, and I've had this problem for a few years, right? And you get lazy about it, and you search the web, and some guy, he's got toothpaste in his hand, maybe he's got a little bit of a rubbing compound, automotive, auto body rubbing compound, this spraying stuff and everything. You want to go check out those videos, there's tons of them. Listen, I've tried that. Okay, because I'm lazy, I just want it to go away for now. I'm shooting all kinds of stuff in there. No. If you want to find out what I did to solve this problem, now this is part of a video series on this thing. Alternator issues, not charging properly. Seemed like it was charging fine, but it was killing the battery. That's expensive. That cost me a lot of money. Solve that problem. This one I'm going to show you. I'm going to take all this stuff off, and we got to get in there, and we got to find the problems. And there's going to be more than one. Low buck. This is all budget. Okay. Look, a lot of us right now are working from home because it's EVID, whatever it is. Everything's going up in price. We're trying to hold on to our cars, trucks, tractors. This is the same problem. Any kind of, it's not so much of an issue, by the way, squealing with V-belts as it is with the serpentine belt. And we're going to dig in deep, and you're going to see why this becomes a problem on older vehicles. We're holding on to this stuff longer because it's expensive to replace. The fuel is getting expensive. It's sitting longer. Age, like me, right? So stick with me on this one. We're going to dive in deep. You're going to need some good hand tools. You got to be brave and get in there. Also a video on, it's part of, changing out the alternator. In this case, this is, again, 4.3 Vortec, right? It's the GM. But for any of these drive systems, it's the same damn thing. It doesn't care what brand motor, right? Gates, people that make belts and hoses and everything, they don't care, right? It's just made to size. So if your crap is squealing like mine is, and it's just been going on forever, and it's just horrible, what it is basically, it's trumpeting. It's like striking a violin bow, right? Taking the bow and striking the string and going, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Okay, 14.2 volts. Got it connected over here. Let's shut it off. All right, it's already starting to rain, so perfect timing, right? Alternator's out. We'll take a look at that tomorrow or later. And I've just been putting on, a little bit more super clean. Nothing crazy. It's not that bad. I keep the machine clean. Of course, all these guys. So I have a little bit of time while it's raining. I already started, so with a little foamy, and I use the regular stuff first. Nobody says we can't get it clean. All right, let me wipe these off. Get them rinsed off. Just all the parts. And I'll bring them in. I've never really done this, but I figured, why the heck not? We're here. It's going to make a bit of a mess. And it'll clean up. It's towards the end of the day, and tomorrow's another day, so we'll get this cleaned up. It's got some foamy on it. It's got some other stuff on it. It's really not that bad, but just to, hose down whatever we can. And hopefully it will dry. But if we have any electrical issues, like, backfires, whatever, everything's right here. So when we go to run it, we should be able to deal with that once we get it warmed up. All right, couple hours of cleaning and wiping. It looks pretty good down there. Cutting all the corners and everything. I mean, this van needs to be cleaned properly, but the engine's clean. Let's take a look inside. I'm gonna leave the doors open. Whatever rain, somebody got some wicked rain. The clouds, the sky was brutally black, but not here yet. So that's good, it held off. That's all nice. It blew it off with the air, washed it a few times, blew it with the air. We're gonna leave it open for a little bit longer. I'll go grab some food, and then we'll close it up. And tomorrow's another day if it's nice enough. All right, we got some housekeeping to do. All right, next order of business is we're going to take this pulley off, clean it, I'll paint it. We want to clean this surface, and then we got to try to get a brush or some Scotch-Brite in around all of these pulleys, okay, because they're dirty. So I think we're just going to use some Scotch-Brite and maybe a little bit more super clean or solvent or something. I'll think about that. We could use super clean because it's easy to rinse down, right, rather than a solvent. And then we'll throw a little paint on those. But we got to get these surfaces clean enough so that we're trying to reduce belt squeal, and I think that's part of the problem is it's sitting. Now the pump seems okay, so I don't think we have any issues there. So I'm just going to zip these two off, and we'll get started on that. So what can happen is years of gook just gets on this stuff. So I got a wire brush. I'm going to leave that pulley on, and I got some Scotch-Brite. I'm just going to wet the Scotch-Brite up a little bit, and then we'll put some super clean on. And I got to reach in there. You're probably going to be in my way, but I'll reach in there. I'm going to work this. I'm going to take the brush. The brush is going to go into areas like this. I was hoping that I should have done this the other day, but a wire wheel would be better. So if you can get a wire wheel in here, I just want to show you. You want to get these grooves. So I think what we'll do is we'll get plenty of this on there. Well, I might even come back with a wire wheel. Now I already got some of it because we're washing in here, but there's junk that gets up in the grooves, and I can see some of it. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but I can see it. So I think I might get my wire wheel and run that in there. And then this guy, I could leave him on, but we're just going to take a Scotch-Brite and get that surface nice and shiny as best as we can. Yeah, there's junk inside the grooves. All right, I'm going to work this paint in the neck in here, but this is going to leave a nice little finish. You can even use a little bit of like crocus cloth if there's some rust and pitting on it, but it's in good shape otherwise. Let me get my wire wheel. I'll get down in that groove, and then I'll have to work this from the bottom. Try to get this in here better. And we'll just have to use the brush, but still, it's not going to be as good. You can also use the Scotch-Brite to get in here. But I think we're okay. Yeah, I'll try the Scotch-Brite too. It's just this one little spot. We got most of it. Yeah, I think we're okay. She looks good. I'll get that Scotch-Brite and a little bit more super clean in there, and I think we'll be good to go. And then I'll polish this up a little bit more. I'm going to put a little bit of my acid on it too when I finish up, and that'll give it a bit of a bite. It looks good. I'll be back in a bit. We'll give you a closer look if I can. But you can see it's shining up. You see now that white, that's the acid that I use. Right? It's got a phosphoric residue to prevent and eliminate any, rusting afterwards after you rinse it. That way, this is for DTM, direct to metal, or body prep. And it does a really nice job, and that way you don't have any, residual rust, what we call flash rust. So I'm just going to give it one more rinse, and I'm going to blow it off, and then we have some other things to do, so I'll let it to dry. All right, so now we're going to deal with the squealing on this end, right? So this is the adjuster, and it's in pretty good shape. Okay, so I already started taking it apart, and this is the idler. So I'm going to clean these, and I'm going to come back in a little bit. I'm going to show you, we're going to lubricate them. We're going to pull the seal up. We're going to lubricate that bearing. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Let me get these things cleaned, washed off in degreaser, and we'll get ready for the next step. Before we open it up, let's give it a listen. Now this one's locking up a little bit. I think I got junk in it. Well, this one might be bad. See, I'm grabbing the bearing now. Yeah. Now I'm going to grab this bearing. Listen. Sounds a little beat. Now, I might have this bearing, but this one's not moving. So I got it all cleaned up. I think it was spinning, but it was spinning on the bolt. So what we want to do is we want to take a peek in there. I might have that bearing. If not, I'll order a new one of these. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to take our pick and carefully get behind that seal, right? And slip it underneath and just pry up a little bit. Then we can get a small screwdriver. You can even use a smaller blade screwdriver, but you see, it comes up real quick. Well, it doesn't look bad, but it seems to be a little stuck. And it might have gotten some junk in it. So let's see, what can I do? I'm gonna get a C-clamp. Okay, see? So it's a little stuck. There it goes. Well, let's take some of our tranny fluid mix in there and spin it up a little bit. I might want to flush it out in my degreaser. Yeah, it's moving now. Yeah, I think we're going to need to degrease this. Might have gotten a little rust in it because there's no grease in it. And they put so little grease, and then with centrifugal force, it winds up disappearing. Yeah, we need to flush that out. There's no load on these, so these are about, if you want to buy like an original GM, that's like $30 or so plus tax, somewhere in that range. Yeah, there's definitely some rust in it. If I were you, if you buy one, you have this problem, pop those seals and put some grease. I'm going to use a non-disc brake wheel bearing grease. Right, you'll see it's got a nicer consistency. Yeah, this was bad. This is just junk was in here and it was trapped, and there's just no grease. That's all the junk that came out of that bearing. So I'm going to replace it. That's a lot. You rinse that out. But we're going to replace it. So I got a bunch of them, and it looks like it's the same. There's only a handful of these sizes, so it matches up. And this one needs grease, but it's quiet. It spins. And this one, listen, there's no grease in it, but. And it's grovelly because there was rust in there. So we get that one. I get a bunch more. That's nice. All right, so we have a bearing. Let me work on getting this out. I'll be right back. I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by driving it out. I got a slightly smaller socket, and it should come. I started knocking it from this side, and it moved a little bit. So I think we'll try. I don't think it really matters, but it was flush with the back. Yeah, it's going. Yeah. All right, we've hit the bottom. All right, so we'll put it on the vise. Give it a little bit of advice. We just need enough for it to clear. And I'm going light. All right, done. Where is it? Oh. All right, so this bearing's beat. Yeah, she's getting stuck. And then this one. All right, so what we're going to do, we'll put it in and then we'll peel the cover off. Okay, and we'll put grease in it. So I'm just going to go light. Yeah, we tried cleaning it, but just to show you, that's not going to work. Now another way we can do it too is we can press it in. All right, so we can just literally take this ice and start, because it'll try to push it in flat. See? And then we'll rotate it. This way we get it started, and I know it's going to go flat. See? It needs to be rotated. Yeah, it's a little bit cocked, but now it's straightening itself. Yeah, it's going in nice and easy. And that'll at least take it to the point where it's flush with this. And we'll drive it in the rest of the way now. Looks like it's a little cocked. We'll get it, there it goes. We'll get it evened out. Almost. Sort of hitting the gasket a little bit. Almost. Maybe that's the gasket we'll take off first. I have extras. A little bit more. That's good. All right, it's just about flush. Yeah, that feels nice. It's quiet. Listen. All right, now I'm going to peel that gasket up. We'll be right back. See, that's got some grease in it. I decided to peel this gasket up because I distorted it just a little bit. You know, this seal. I could do both of them, honestly. You don't need a lot in here. But we're certainly going to put a lot more than what was in there. Oh yeah, that's good. Just keep pushing it in. Now if you want, you could take the other seal out. Yeah, that's spinning good. Let's just spin it in. Yeah, that's fine. That's not going to be a problem. All right, let me put the seal on. Really butter the seal up a little bit with what's left over. And it should just press down. So if it's a little distorted, we can tweak that with a screwdriver later after we wipe everything down. And it really just kind of goes right back in. I'm using my fingernail, but we'll come back around. It's basically in. Come back around with a screwdriver or whatever and just poke at it. Let me show you. So I'm going to do the other one as well. The other one's pretty good. It's just dry. I don't know if it needs to be cleaned out. We gotta make sure we get all the grease off of here. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. Yeah. I usually just use either a green stick or sometimes my thumbnail. It's a steel-backed seal. Just be careful that you don't destroy it. I keep a few extras, and just in case I slip. That's it. I'll wipe that off when I'm done. I'm going to do the other one. Same thing with this guy. It just feels like it's dry, but if not, I probably have another deal. And this is the bolt assembly. Put a little bit of this went in like this. So this went this way, and this guy went in, and it centered into there, just like that. And then this kind of threaded down, and you can stake that back down again. That's just its keeper. And we'll put a little no-seize on the end of this bolt. So that's just a spacer. And let's see, so we might even want to drive. So with the bushing that way, it'll stick it out a little bit more. Yeah, we might want to drive that bearing in just a little bit more flush and get the belt line up a little bit more to the center. So I'm going to do that. Be back in a minute. All right, this bearing is probably not an SKF or something. It's a cheaper bearing. There's a name on it. Oh, I can't read it. But you can see inside there it's a different cage. It's a little cheaper. All the more reason why let's get some grease in it now and work that in. All right. All right, let me work on this. Put this back. Put the seal on. Seal came off nice and easy. Yeah, it's quiet. It's spinning nice. That should be enough. You don't want to overfill it because it'll blow out. Actually start to come out. It's going in. Now, on this one I'll probably take my little screwdriver and just kind of make sure it's poked in. Yeah. Like I said, it can't go anywhere because everything kind of holds it in its place. Yeah, I think she's in. Let's see. Yeah. There's not much. It's just a bit of friction that holds these things in. Yeah, it feels good. It's quiet. Just the way I like it. Now, man, this one was just so noisy. I can feel it too. I feel it vibrating. Now, this one went in here. Now, one of the things we want to do is this is sprung load. Spring loaded. Let's get some, chain wax up in there. All right, that'll wax up and it'll keep the spring from rotting and make it operate a little bit better. All right, now it doesn't matter. It doesn't look like it matters which way this goes, although this is the real dirty side, so it probably went that way. And a little bit of no-seize on that. See what I mean? It can't, nothing can go anywhere. I need that bolt, which is over there. Let's make sure it goes in. Put a little bit of no-seize on this. And I'll zoom that back in. And this guy's all done. Okay. I staked those little keepers down. And I think that should do it. All right, I'm going to go put this in. We'll get to the next step. All right, that's where it goes. Now there's a little locating pin right there where the locating pin goes. Excuse me, that's a bore. And then that is your locating pin. So, right. Just make sure you line it up. Now, I only got one hand here, so I can't do this with one hand, but it kind of goes in there, and then your bolt goes. We'll get that started by hand, make sure it's okay. Get everything lined up good, and we'll blammo it in and tighten it up. And then the other one goes here, right? That's the idler. So this is your tensioner, and the other one's the idler. And we should be good. And over here it looks good. I might just want to take a little sandpaper to that so that I know I'm going to have a good connection for the alternator. All right, one last thing we're going to do. Now, this is the belt that I was running, and I was trying to show earlier that I see a bit of wear on either side, mostly this side. The belt is not bad. If you bend it in this way in the opposite direction, you look for any cracks. It's deep, okay? I don't see wear there. The overall condition looks good. But I've changed belts a lot over the years, and I also use these for other things. Now, this belt has been sitting around for a while. I see wear on the side. I can see cords now. I don't know if that was like that initially. I don't think so. All right, this side, you're just starting to see some cords. So I think this one was running to the side. It doesn't look as deep. I use those. My buddy Scotty years ago showed me, because he worked HVAC, but he worked the other end of it. I worked, controls. He worked, out there in the field, and he says, don't throw belts out. I said, well, I almost never do anyway. He goes, no, because they're always lifting electric motors, also heavy, irregularly shaped objects. Belts are great because you can wrap them around in different combinations and twist them, and you can lift things and pull things and tow things, and they're a bit elastic, but yet they're very strong. They're not like a rubber band, but they're more forgiving. Now, this one's in pretty good shape. See, it doesn't have any wear on either side, so check your belt. I'd say this belt is actually pretty good. Looks like they're about the same length. I don't know which one is probably in better shape. This one's a little dirty. And I think this one's getting a little old. So we're going to go with the belt that we have, but what I am going to do is I'm going to wash it off, and then we're going to coat it with silicone. So I'm going to wash it off in my degreaser tank so that there's no grease and residues from, people spray belt dressing and things like that on. And this is the newest of all the belts that I have. It's still getting a little old, but there's no mileage on it. Wash it off, and then I'll be back in a minute. We'll dry it off good, put a little degreaser on it, and maybe a little super clean, wash it in the degreaser tank, get it dry. We'll come back with a very light coat of silicone. I don't think they get dirty, right? That was just one pass. I sprayed, put it in the degreaser tank, took it out, spray a little super clean on it, and with the Scotch-Brite pad, ran over it. I'll let that sit for a few, and then we'll rinse it off with the hose in here. And yeah, they get dirty. Let's give it a rinse. A little black. And I've been spraying a lot of junk on it over the years, try to quiet it down, so do all that. All right, let it dry outside too for a little bit. So this is what it looks like, right? It's clean again. It looks like rubber. And then I'm going to use this CRC Extreme Duty silicone. It's not particularly slippery. It really isn't. It's just going to put a little bit of the silicone back. Another thing too is you could just leave it like this, right? So because it was so full of junk from me spraying it with different things. But a light coat, and I'm going to wipe it with a rag, and I'm going to do it outside because I don't want that crap all over here. All right, just a quick spray, right? Both sides. And you can see it's not shiny. It's not like you think. It's not Armor All, right? This is made of silicone rubber, and this will just, it actually feels a little sticky. All right, it'll help it over time and get a little bit more life out of it. So it almost looks like a new belt. We're ready here. I'm going to take all this stuff off. So I've cleaned the electrical connector as well with a bit of, I'll show you in a minute, sandpaper, and the plug that goes in here. It's a 1-wire. I cleaned that with some brake cleaner, sprayed it off, and I'm going to put a little bit of chain wax on that connector. Actually, on all the connectors. You can use a dielectric if you want, like a regular, like a silicone based, but the chain wax works fine. Okay. And so this has been sprayed, and just kind of keep it looking a little bit nicer for a little bit longer. All right, let's go start getting ready to stick this in. Let's slide right up. I'm gonna run it long because we don't have a fan on it. Notice how quiet it is. See how quiet it is? Quiet belt. Nice and quiet. Smooth. All right, everybody. Hopefully that was helpful. Don't want to get into too much in the outro. I think I've covered about as much as I can, and I flattened my gums about as much as anybody can deal with. I will see you guys on the next one. Hopefully you got something out of this video or these videos in this video series, depending on how I lay it out. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching Archer's Garage.